Welcome back, Cyber Academy students. Did you know that 80% of hacking-related breaches are due to weak or stolen passwords?
Exactly what we talked about in the last episode. Weak passwords is one of the best entry points for hackers to basically ruin your data's life. They have to deal with this all the time. It's really sad. And guess what? Hackers don't need to be geniuses to break into your account. It's a common stereotype that hackers are complete experts on technology. And while that is true a lot of the time, also a lot of the time that's absolutely not true, and they have a lot of very simple methods that even you yourself could do to break into accounts. In this video, we're going to show you exactly how they do it. We are going to describe to you all the processes that they use, as well as their methodologies, and how you can stop them. As it turns out, there are a lot of remedies for hacking that you can implement into your own day-to-day life. Some of the more complex ones and some of the more simple ones offer the same efficiency.
By the end of this episode, you'll have learned 3 things. Number 1, how hackers steal passwords. Number 2, the top 3 hacking techniques that they use. And number 3, how to protect yourself from being hacked.
This is episode 3 of the Twin Tech Cyber Academy, how hackers hack and how to stop them. Like I said in the last episode, be prepared to fight. Not really, but you will be able to fight off hackers' hacking, so, Yeah, let's get started with segment 1, how hackers steal passwords in general. Hackers steal a lot of things, but passwords are the most important. They're like little keys that open doors into many of the platforms that we use, many of the software that we access for every single day, whether it's for entertainment or for work, whether it's for banking or for ordering something. Before we talk about how to protect yourself from these hackers, you need to understand how hackers actually steal the stuff that they use. We're going to go over the 3 most common methods.
The first is brute force attacks. This is about guessing passwords fast. It's like a guessing game. It's kind of like Kahoot and how you want to quickly press the answer as fast as you can.
Even when you don't think about it, you just want to press something.
And even when you see that, wow, I got it wrong. So how it works is that hackers use software. This can be malware, but this can also be just computer programs that are manipulated into doing something bad that tries millions of passwords per second.
As it turns out, we've seen a lot of software in use recently that can automate the process of typing something out, of putting in entries, of putting in requests to a query or a search engine, and it can do this millions of times per second. It can use practically an infinite number of combinations. And so as a result, this is the most dangerous type of brute force attack where it uses this technology to its advantage.
It's the most common, but it also has the weakness of being the most simple. As its name implies, it doesn't really have any strategy. It doesn't really have any methodology. It's kind of just keep using it, man. But oh no, man, it's not working. So here's how to protect yourself against it, man. Use long and complex passwords. It sounds like a simple fix, but
it sounds like something you don't think about.
Don't really do that. They kind of use the same password over and over again. They put their real info in it, like they put their name. Like
absolutely something you should not do.
My name and the year I was born, plus like a couple of symbols here and there. Yeah. So basically you're asking yourself to be hacked. Go ahead and tell me if that password works, buddy. So use long and complex passwords. Here's a tip.
He's very heated about this.
Don't use your info. Make it pretty long. Use basically every single character on
every single special character that you can access.
That you can think of. Okay, let me put it in an interesting way.
Here's an example. If your password is password, the word password, 123, a hacker can actually crack that in less than a second. That technology has gotten so good at predicting the most common passwords, and there are lists on the internet of the most common passwords.
So avoid those. Look at those lists and then don't use any of those passwords.
Hackers can break passwords like that in like less than a second. Literally less than a second. And most people don't even think about how short less than a second is.
It's like as fast as blinking. So in conclusion, play the password game. Number 2.
Yep.
Phishing attacks. This is tricking you into giving your password. It's essentially like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's like, hey man, I'm real, I'm trustable, click me. And then once you click them, you find out, no, I'm not trustable, I'm fake, and I'm gonna attack you. And how it works is that it's through emails most of the time.
Primarily.
When they think of that term phishing, they think of emails.
Emails,
that look
yeah.
trustable, but they're not trustable. It can be through messages, so through messaging apps, because of course it's not just computers, it's on phones, it's on even smart TVs, it's everywhere.
Just about every single piece of technology that involves personal information in some way, it's subject to a phishing attack. The methodology here is a bit more complex than the brute force attack.
And they can even use websites. Like, they can build whole websites that look trustable, look nice, but they are hiding a dark secret. They look real, but they steal your login details, and they just wreck your online footprint from there.
Instead of mindlessly trying to guess the same password over and over again, or trying to come up with complicated ways that cause a lot of stress, instead, they're preying upon easy to access, like, trustable accounts. They can easily get or, make themselves look like the email account or the, like, maybe one of your friends on Instagram or something like that, of someone that you actually have a proper connection with, someone that you wouldn't mind sending them that if they sent you stuff like that. But it's completely fake, and it's meant to take advantage of your financial info. It's meant to steal that data, that very valuable data.
An example would be, and this is like an example for an email, say, so you got from a company you use, and be like, oh no, your account has been locked. Click here to reset your password. Now, it is worth noting, there are companies that actually send emails like this, and it is true.
If you ever
like
log
that might
into your
happen.
account on another device, and then it says, we just noticed that your account has been logged into. Do you need to reset your password or whatever? Stuff like that is trustable. If you verify it, then you know for a fact this is the company sending you an email, as they always do, just to make sure that your security is safe, that everything is okay.
But if your account has been fine for a long time, like you always log in, there's no issue, and you get an email that says your account has been locked when it's not, and you literally open it and it's not, and it's saying it's been locked, yeah, it's time to start having some suspicion.
One great way to double check yourself with a phishing email. If you get an email saying that your account is in trouble, actually try logging into your account. A lot of people will respond out of fear, thinking that they cannot access their account. But if you find that you can access your account, and if you check that there are indeed no problems with it, then you need to rethink what that email is saying. You need to rethink, why are they sending me this if my account is not locked? Why are they telling me I need to reset my password when my password is still strong?
And it's perfectly fine. Even if it's weak, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. If all of this is true, you likely are under fire of a phishing attack.
And here's some ways to protect yourself from stuff like that. Always check the sender's email. You can literally see it in the subject line. If you click on a little button, it's a little bit hidden, but you can actually just see exactly who sent it, because no matter what hackers do, that is always visible. No one can hide from that.
If you have a friend named Sophia, spelled Sofia, and then you get an email from someone called Sophia, but it's spelled Sophia, the small details like that are...
Two letters are all the difference.
Those are exactly what causes a phishing attack, and you need to be watchful of that at all times.
And can you imagine, there are a lot of people out there who just don't check the sender's email, so they fall for two-letter differences like that. Don't click links in suspicious emails. If you see an email and you're reading through it and it's like, wow, this doesn't seem trustable, and you see a link, while you said to yourself, doesn't seem trustable, don't click it.
A suspicious email pretty much always has a suspicious link. It's correlation at its finest. So you've got to make sure to stay away from that.
And then use two-factor authentication, otherwise known as multi-factor authentication or two-step verification. The bane of many a teenager, but the truth is that it actually is one of the best and most efficient and commendable ways cybersecurity has been able to keep people
It's
safe
very
for a while.
strong, and it's very efficient too. It involves multiple of your devices. So you can always access either one and perform that multi-step verification to ensure that cybersecurity is universal to you and all of your technology.
And then number 3, credential stuffing, using leaked passwords.
These are passwords that have been stolen from one data breach and then put onto another. And usually they'll take passwords that have been leaked from you. So any passwords that you've noticed have been breached or aren't weak anymore or aren't working, they'll take those passwords and they'll actually try to log into other platforms and businesses or websites with that credentials. They'll stuff it in. That's known as credential stuffing.
And how it works is exactly as described, but the main trick here is that they use one password
Just
for
one.
almost everything. They don't brute force and try every password on one platform. They try one password on every platform. And unfortunately, credential stuffing works better than brute force because a lot of people will use one password on at least
multiple
more
places.
than one platform. So it's way more efficient.
This goes back to what we said about brute force attacks. You need to make your passwords unique. Making your passwords unique effectively
Immediately cancels out credential stuffing.
It makes you immune to a credential stuffing attack. Here's an example. If you use the same password for Facebook and PayPal, a hacker can take a leaked password from Facebook, maybe you were part of a data breach in Facebook, like a small data breach, and then they can use it on PayPal. And boom, they are into your account.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Or in this case, stealing 2 data packets with 1 keystroke. Yeah.
And here's some ways to protect yourself against that. First, never use never reuse passwords across different accounts.
Don't even try. Don't even think about it.
As we mentioned, this immediately cancels out all that we just talked about. Next up, use a password manager. There are many good ones. There's Bitwarden, there's LastPass, there's Dashlane. There are many good options out there. Try them all out.
Also,
but all of these password managers, they have good intentions. Their purpose is to make sure you can just remember them. You don't even have to think about them.
Also, there are many browsers like Google Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Safari, Microsoft Edge, pretty much every single one that you use. They all have their own built-in password managers. These companies are smart enough to know the techniques that they can use to protect your data. So rely on password managers in your browser, and you can also sign up for free password managers if you'd like.
And then this is one of our favorites. Check if your email has been hacked on
HaveIBeenPwned.com.
Probably the most well-known website when it comes to cybersecurity. It's really cool. You just type in your email and you check if you've been hacked.
It's developed by a proper cybersecurity expert, and it has a lot of resources that you can use to keep up to date with how secure you are, as well as to learn about cybersecurity. We recommend that as a great resource for cybersecurity, and also it's a genuinely good method for cybersecurity protection. Always make sure to once in a while just check if your email has been vulnerable in any way recently.
Because even if you are being super protective, you could honestly just go on there, type in your email, and I've been pwned for some reason.
Yep.
So next segment, how to protect yourself from hackers. Now that you know how hackers steal passwords and other information and other data, here's how to protect yourself from people like that. Number 1,
use strong and unique passwords. So they should be at least 12 characters long. Although there's something important to say here. Many websites will have a mandate of like how long your password should be. Some of them will be 5 characters long. Some of them will be 20 characters long. There's a huge range, but generally 12 is the standard. It's commonplace for most companies to put it on their websites.
And even then, it should be that basically everyone is doing strong mandates. We should not, it's 2025. We should have basically no website saying do like 6 characters. Even like 10 is like okay, but like 15 or something, that's gonna be like, that's just, if all companies would squabble up and do something like that, that go a long way towards making our job pretty easy.
We don't need to be stuck 25 years in the past. You also need to mix up your passwords. Use a huge variety of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. Symbols being if you press the shift key and then you just go along with the number keys, or you do a mix of maybe some of the more special characters. So these aren't number or letter keys, but there's keys that you still use.
Apostrophe.
Like brackets and stuff like that. Use those. Take advantage of them. They'll be very useful to you.
And here's an example. We're actually going to spell this one out. $.
Free.
Free. lowercase c,
C,
lowercase u,
U,
lowercase
R,
r, lowercase
E,
uppercase
P,
P, lowercase
A,
$, lowercase W, 0, lowercase r, lowercase d, exclamation mark. Not password 123. That is definitely not the same thing.
Compare the two. The first one is a much better password. That
And
you
of course, you
probably
can
wanna
make
use.
way more complicated stuff like that, but even something like that would be pretty good.
Here's an important thing to remember though. If you find yourself stressing out over creating passwords, don't worry about it. Just create a password that you can remember. It doesn't necessarily need to be super long, and it doesn't necessarily need to involve a lot of symbols. But if it's a password that only you yourself can remember, just go with that. If you're thinking of a password that you can remember, and you might think, oh man, should I use it? You probably should actually use it. That means that no one else will be able to guess it. And hackers, no matter how much brute forcing that they can't guess it because it's very unique to you. Even if they can guess it, it would probably take them such a long time that you would be able to pick up on the vulnerability.
You'd probably be sleeping by the time. It's like, yes, we finally got in. Now let's steal this person's data. This person's sleeping. We should just give up. Let's go home, guys.
Yeah.
And as always, enable two-step verification on all of your devices. And there are apps to help you with stuff like that. Apps like Google Authenticator, Authy. These are ones that help you with that process if you do find it indeed tedious. Because it is genuinely kind of annoying for some people.
It is.
And some people want to have the strengths of that without the inconvenience. Because a lot of people don't like having it so that you have to have two devices just to log into something.
But the truth is, even if a hacker steals your password, they still need a one-time code to log in. It's been a rising practice in cybersecurity that we ourselves are very glad to see, that most companies are implementing a system where you need a one-time code to log in for that specific one time.
It's a pretty good medium. It's more convenient than two-factor authentication because you can just check your email, hey, one-time code, log in, and then you're safe to go.
But it also has the strengths of a two-step verification because it doesn't involve multiple devices, but you can do it on one device and it involves two different steps that add an extra layer of security. Number 3, we need to keep reminding you of this.
1 billion times. And if that doesn't work, 10 billion more.
Never click suspicious links. Absolutely do not click suspicious links. Absolutely do not. You need to define to yourself whether a link is suspicious or not.
And of course, just look around, see if it can be trusted. If it can't be trusted, it's suspicious. And if it's suspicious, it can't be trusted.
We encourage you to do your own research on what a suspicious website really is, and so whether you can determine for yourself, okay, is this actually suspicious or not? A lot of websites are straddling the fine line of suspicious and trustable, but if it leans even slightly towards suspicious, just stay away from it. Nothing dramatic, just not clicking the link and avoiding it is all you need to do, and you can be very safe on the
So
internet.
for example, instead of clicking a bank link in your email, because why would you do that? Type the bank's website directly into your browser. Just Google it and just go on the first result, which is, of course, usually almost always the website of the bank. And then check that and see if it matches up with the link. And if it doesn't, then you might as well just stay on the website of the bank instead of clicking that link because it might take you God knows where.
Yep.
And number 4, use a password manager. As we've mentioned before, this is a little bit more of just a strong recommendation because some people don't really know how to do that. Some people just go with the built-in password managers we have today, but even those can be known to be weaker than actual applications of managing passwords. It stores all of them, so you don't have to remember them all. Again, there's Bitward and LastPass. There's Dashlane, there's 1Password, many other great options, free or paid, and you can just check all of them out, see which one works for you, but almost all of them will work for you.
One important thing to consider with browser password managers, if you stick with browser password managers, which are still a really good cybersecurity practice, one thing to consider is that you need to keep your browser in general safe. All of this cybersecurity that we've been talking about, it heavily affects the browser. When you get cyber attacked, when you get hacked, it affects the software that, is operating. So if you're running Chrome and your Gmail gets hacked, the rest of Chrome will get attacked too. And your password manager will be damaged. So you really want to be careful of that. We definitely recommend these password managers. Again, Look it up for yourself, make comparisons. Some are free, some are paid, and some have different tiers. Make your own decision. Make the decision that you think suits you best.
And then number 5, check if your password has been leaked. As mentioned before, go to haveibeenpwned.com and enter your email. And if your email has been leaked, it doesn't show your password, of course, since you just typed in your email, but it means your password was compromised.
Your password was not strong enough.
There's no other way it'd be saying you were pwned other than your password lets your email be pwned. So change it.
You need to change it immediately. You need to figure out like what you want to make it. Again, remember all that will be said about passwords, but just change it into something stronger. Even if it's like at mid-tier strong, if it still gets leaked, make it a top tier strong. That's what we're talking about.
All right, now you know how hackers steal passwords and in general other data, because this kind of thing they do for passwords applies to basically all types of data.
It's not just passwords. Passwords are the most common because they're the most, let me say they're the most flexible way we have of, cybersecurity.
But
basic
now
security
you know
like that.
how they steal it and how to stay safe and how to make sure you stay safe.
It's not just about being safe in the short term. Practices like this, if you keep them up, if you make them a habit, they will keep you safe in the long term, for a very long time. As in, you won't have to worry about cybercrime as much because it won't affect you. So if this video helped you, make sure to hit like and subscribe to the Twintech Cyber Academy. We'd really love your support. We want to get this out to as many people as we can, and we'd like to teach you more about how to stay safe in the digital age.
Because that's really the great thing. When it comes to making stuff like this, of course, making content like this is pretty fun and engaging for us, but really, I think making stuff like this is a very humbling experience. It's not really about getting views. It's not really about becoming famous. It's about helping people. I'd rather that it's not like an entertaining piece of content, more so that people just have their devices not be as hacked anymore.
Because like we said, a cyber attack happens every 39 seconds. And that is really concerning.
It's probably happened dozens, maybe 100 times while you've watched this video. Think about that for a moment.
So we just want to keep you safe from all of that.
Next episode, we'll take it a step further because you know how hackers work. Now, we'll show you how to set up a secure system yourself on your own device or devices that hackers won't be able to break into. So all the methods we described this episode and the past ones, they don't work.
Let me say, next episode is the DIY episode, the do-it-yourself. For those of you who grew up on DIY content, well, that won't really apply.
So, stay subscribed.
Stay secured.